How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex, Ryan, and Sam. I got the trio back in the lab today. We're doing some kind of segments on where the Yankees should go at the deadline, ranking the positions that require the most improvement and advancement. Obviously, the best case scenario is the players we have on the roster right now turn things around and they get healthy and they start producing. I posted a couple tweets this morning. If you look at the numbers from Donaldson, you look at the numbers from Stanton and DJ LeMahieu, we are not winning anything if these guys are not producing, at least two of them. And it's probably going to be Stanton. And it's probably going to be LeMahieu who turn things around. I don't really expect much from Donaldson at this point in time, but like if those guys can't turn around, two of the three, we're in deep shit. And then, excuse my language, but that's just the truth. So we got to talk about where the Yankees can go from here, where they can go to retool. They're not going to be sellers. That's not the Brian Cashman way. That's not the Hal Steinbrenner way. They're going to spend money. They're going to try and get some guys, maybe leverage some of their prospects. We have some thoughts on where they should be allocating their resources because they're probably going to. Now, Ryan, you've been telling us for a while now, this market's going to be weird. It's going to be an interesting one. It's kind of thin, but there are going to be guys that are available. It's just a matter of what the Yankees are willing to give up. You know, we've talked about some mock trades and, you know, miss me with the Will Warrens and Clayton Beaters for Cody Bellingers. Like, that's crazy to me. There's a lot of weird ones out there. We're going to give you guys some more realistic options that could make sense. But, you know, Ryan, we'll start off with you here. Where do you think the Yankees need to kind of invest the most right now, the most capital, what they need to really boost their chances of contending this year?
But I think we'll all come to the universal agreement, and I'm not even just saying us three, I'm saying literally anyone who watches this video, that the Yankees need help with their offense. And that's going to come in the outfield. And that's something that they've needed really ever since the end of last season. You know, we can sit here and discuss how unfortunate it is that Stanton has taken a setback and that's not really something that you anticipated coming into the season. Judge banging his toe into a wall, not something you anticipated coming into the season. LeMahieu taking a step back, again, one of those things you just really didn't see that coming. But not having good production from left field, that's something we all saw coming. And that's something that Brian Cashman failed to address, whether that's because the Yankees didn't feel comfortable going into that third luxury tax, or whether because, the trade market wasn't as robust as they thought it would be. They didn't do a good enough job replacing the production they were getting from Benintendi for a little bit. Cabrera obviously fell off. And that stinks for them, but they weren't supposed to rely on him as a full-time player. I view left field as the biggest area of need for this team. And I think one of the interesting guys I want to look at is Tommy Pham, because Tommy Pham's been unbelievable for the Mets. He has a 144 WRC plus, crushing the baseball. But the other thing he provides for the Yankees that I think is really important is a really good eye and really good base running skills. The Yankees are not a good base running team. And it's kind of frustrating because that was an area the Yankees really hampered as, hey, we're not that good at this. We have to get better at this following the 2021 season. And this year, they're one of the worst base running teams in baseball. We see them consistently make bad base running decisions. They're a really slow team. They're one of the oldest teams in baseball. And while Tommy Pham is not a young guy by any sense of the regard, I think he's 35 years old. He still has 61st percentile sprint speeds. He has 1.8 base running runs, and of course the great offense. He's really putting together an amazing season. He's got a great eye at the dish. He's above 90th percentile in his chase rate, so he's really patient. This is the type of guy that you add to your lineup, and really the Yankees don't have a consistent leadoff hitter. Could Tommy Pham be that for them? I understand. Look, there's going to be opposition against getting a guy who's right-handed, but I don't think we're in the market of the Yankees need to only get left-handed hitters. This team needs bats. Period. This team needs any bats it can get. It feels like the pitching staff, at least the bullpen, is so good that you can get away with scoring 4 or 5 runs a game and winning at an insane rate. Really, it feels like for the last month that if the Yankees were able to put together competent offense, not good, just competent, that they would be in a much better spot. The rest of the American League's kind of slowed down. I saw this metric. The AL has like their best record over the last 20 days is 11-9 or something like that. It's incredible. The AL has slowed down. The Yankees still have a 2-game lead in the loss column over the Blue Jays, despite really not playing good baseball for a month. They have a playoff spot. So they're in a playoff spot. The AL doesn't really look too threatening. You have the Rays, you have the Rangers who are slowing down a little bit. And you feel like if you get hot, you can go compete, but that's going to come with additions. I think Tommy Pham's a good addition. There are some other guys who are available that are on longer contracts, but as you guys alluded to, are the Yankees really in a position to trade top prospects to get controllable pieces if they're not sure this team can compete? I think we'll have to wait until we get close to the deadline to see that. But Pham is someone that's interesting, and the Mets might eat all that salary because they may want prospects instead of just dumping salary.
Yeah, so I really like a point that you brought up there, Ryan, is that, I feel like there's such an emphasis between, if you look on Yankees Twitter or just Yankee fans in general, that this team, no matter what, needs a left-handed bat. It's got to be lefty. Everybody you trade for has to be a lefty. This team needs offense no matter what. I don't care where it comes from. It could be from whoever. It could be from somebody from the Mets. And coming into the season, I'm not looking at the Mets and being like, yeah, like they're going to sell at the deadline. We're going to trade for Tommy Pham. This is a legitimate target that this team could go out and get right now. So, and yeah, I mean, what both of you guys really said is like correct. Like this team needs offense. It has to be the left field spot. You know, we didn't see the regression from. We didn't expect the regression from the players that are happening right now. We didn't expect Judge to be out for as long as he is. So it's a necessity right now to get this offense right, to add a necessary piece, because realistically you could make the right moves at the deadline and you could go out and win a World Series. We saw what the Atlanta Braves did in 2021. They reshaped their entire outfield after a slew of injuries, went on to win the World Series because of those guys. And, you know, that's really the only piece of this team that I think that you can necessarily truly upgrade on. With the pitching staff, I think over the next month, you're going to see Carlos Rodon come back. You're going to see Nestor Cortez Jr., who I think honestly a lot of us have kind of forgotten about because he's been gone for so long, you know, really join the staff again. And I don't think they're really going to look after that, you know, during the trade deadline, because it's not really a necessity. You're going to run out Cole, Rodon, Severino, and Cortez. It's an incredible four that you have, plus, you know, Herman and Schmidt and whoever else you want to throw in there. The bullpen, no ads are necessary. This is the best bullpen ERA, like best team bullpen ERA in baseball. Not a single all-star though, which is insane at 2.84. So it's got to be bats. It's got to be somebody, and I entrust in this team to go out and make that type of move, because I feel like it's going to be a super weird market. There's going to be names on here that I feel like we didn't expect, you know, to be traded necessarily. So there's going to be a lot of guys that we can go out and look at during this deadline, and it's going to be really interesting to see where this team is at in a month and who they trade for and really who they add. So I'm excited for this, but I just really think that they have to add in the outfield. That is the number one necessity for this team.
Yeah, and look, like the number one guy that keeps getting linked to the Yankees, like over and over and over again, is Cody Bellinger, right? This is the guy, like you mentioned Tommy Pham, and you know he's kind of a wild card at times. Like you see what he says on Twitter. I think he cursed someone out a couple days ago. Like is that someone the Yankees want to bring out into this clubhouse and like potentially mess with their chemistry? Like, does it matter? Like, we're not doing so well anyway. He's a good player like right now, so you know maybe there is some legs to that. But the Bellinger one like keeps coming up. Like usually when there's smoke, there's fire, and like that's kind of where I'm looking at. Like, you know, we saw Scott Efros from the Cubs last year. There's a connection there. They can do deals. Bellinger's on an expiring contract. He's a lefty bat. He's a slugger to a degree. This is the type of player that Cashman falls head over heels for. He's like Joey Gallo 2.0 essentially, but a much better defender, right? Like this is the one that the Yankees make, and immediately Cody Bellinger goes on like a 10-game hitless streak. And like that's kind of what scares the crap out of me, is that Bellinger's wildly inconsistent. In June, he had 250, 295 OBP, 595 OPS. He was god awful. But then you look at like, I think he's on what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's on an 8-game hitting streak right now. Like he's doing pretty well over the last couple days. But is that fool's gold? Like, is that a situation where you don't want to buy high on a player that you're renting for the rest of the season? The Yankees gave up pretty much nothing for Benintendi last year, some low-level guys, and like maybe they could do something similar and just hope that Bellinger turns into a really solid offensive piece or like maintains his pace. Defensively, really good player. Like he's going to offer you good defense. But you know, Ryan, when you're looking at Bellinger, like what would you even be willing to give up for him? We talked about how you know, The Athletic released an article recently that they conjured up the most ridiculous trade. Will Warren, our top pitching prospect, and Clayton Beeter, one of our top young guns, kind of climbing through the system right now. And I think they threw in Esteban Florial, if I'm not mistaken. Like it's just too much. It's subjectively too much for a rental. I think actually Cody Bellinger has a mutual option for the 2024 season, so like they could keep him around. What would you actually be willing to give for Cody Bellinger right now? Like assuming that you're taking out some of that money and he's wildly inconsistent and is just returning from an injury.
Yeah, so Cody Bellinger, I think, is firmly in the category of like, all right, I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he's a great hitter, right? Now, being a good baseball player, right, it goes beyond just hitting, you know, being a great defender, being a great base runner. He's a good base runner, good defender, versatile, can play some first base, left field, right field, center field, but the Yankees need bats, and that's kind of the big thing here, right? Like, is he a difference-making bat? I'm not entirely sure. Do I believe he's capable of it? Yes. I don't think anyone here is denying that that's what he's capable of. But again, you know, is he going to be exactly what you need offensively, that big boost? Who knows, right? If the Yankees are scouting him well and they like certain trends and like the way his swing path is, and they view him as someone who can take advantage of the short porch in right field, then yeah, this is a trade that you make and you feel confident that it can help you. But I'm not trading my top prospects for it. I'm more so looking towards that 15 to 30 range in your farm system rankings. You don't want to be in a situation where you're trading your number one pitching prospect or even your number two pitching prospect in a deal for a guy who's going to be a rental. You don't know if you want to extend him long term. There is injury concerns there. You have Harrison Bader hitting free agency as well, so that's 2 free agent outfielders that you're going to have to make a decision on. I understand Tommy Pham also has that same situation, but I think there's less regret around not bringing back Tommy Pham, or there's less conversation of giving him like a 3-year deal or a 4-year deal because of his age, whereas Bellinger's like, he's in his 20s. If he were to hit free agency after a successful season, are you comfortable giving him 4 years? I don't know if I'm comfortable giving him 4 years. And, it might go beyond that, right? So, it's one of those situations where you don't want to be too, you don't want to be too aggressive on that trade front. But I do think that the Yankees can end up going out and targeting Bellinger. I think if the price is right, they'll get him. And kind of interestingly here, I want to throw one name out. I think that the Padres might not, I'm not going to say Soto, but I think they might trade Trent Grisham. And I don't know if Trent Grisham is going to take that next step if he were to become a Yankee, but I think he could. The Padres do not have a great track record of developing hitters and taking them to the next level. Matt Carpenter did that here, goes to San Diego and completely takes a step back. His approach at the plate is not the same as it was here. Xander Bogaerts has gone over there and has been a disaster, right? Xander Bogaerts obviously tortured us for years. Soto, when he first got over there, really struggled with his swing path. Machado has kind of been up and down. So you feel like San Diego could be a situation where that's not necessarily a team that's great at developing offense. I know that Dylan Lawson doesn't have the best reputation this year, but this is a left-handed hitter who has really good power, good swing decisions, and is really he just needs something to click for him. We saw what he could do in the postseason. He single-handedly beat the Mets last year in the wild card round. And as Sam alluded to, really, if you just hit on a couple of guys, you hit on one guy here, one guy there that can do it in the postseason, you might be in the World Series. And if you're in the World Series, all bets are off. At that point, no one's going to care about how this season turned out or what the regular season was like if the Yankees win the World Series. I will not care that we lost the series to the Cardinals. I will not care that Josh Donaldson played a lot of games. I will not care that, we've had terrible offense all year. I will not care if this team wins the World Series. And that's kind of how I view this.
Yeah, so the Soto situation is sticky. I'm not going to bring that up at all. You guys can check that out on our socials. We're going to drop a video about that. We're talking about that today a little bit, so I'm not really going to touch on that whatsoever because that's weird because, he's going to be out there. It's a massive trade. I'm not even going to bring up that name. But Grisham is an interesting player. Like you alluded to, we were just talking about him in the playoffs last year. He was electric. He literally beat them in that series. And another thing that I wanted to tap on with Cody Bellinger is with Bellinger, I will trust Bellinger's defense 100%. I know that his defense will never sway. And, the difference between him and a guy like Tommy Pham is I feel like Tommy Pham, you want to play him in more of a corner outfield role. Cody Bellinger, I feel like when you play him in the outfield, you want to play him in center field, right? And you already have a guy right there in Harrison Bader who already kind of covers that spot. So you would kind of be looking to trade for a corner guy. I'm not looking for defense right here. I'm looking for strictly offense. And can we entrust that the beginning of Cody Bellinger's season this year, that's the player he's going to be, for the rest of this year and beyond if they decide to bring him back next year with that mutual option or even extend him after? I'm not really sure, just because the complete fall off that player saw over the past couple of seasons was insanely drastic. And that, month and a half long stretch, and then him going cold again. And then like Alex mentioned with this hit streak now, can we really trust that he's going to be this difference making bat? At the beginning of the year, I was so all over Cody Bellinger. I was like, yeah, this is the guy. Like he could fill a role. He can play multiple positions. He can hit again. Like this is a slam dunk move that the Yankees should make. Right now, I'm really not sure about it. So I just think that with Bellinger, if they trade for him, it's a guarantee on defense. It's not a guarantee on offense. And that's the exact opposite thing that the Yankees are looking for right now. One name that I hate the fact that we can't talk about anymore is Jock Peterson, just because I feel like the Giants are going to compete this year. They're going to try to make the playoffs at this point. I want to say they're 46-38. I think them and the Padres record are legit backwards. So they're going to contend for a playoff spot this year. They're not going to trade Jock. They're in a competing spot. But there was a point in time he cannot play defense for his life. like at all, but he mashes, so he would be a ton of fun, and that's like what this team would need at this point. So I hate the fact that I can't talk about that name anymore. But yeah, I just with the Bellinger thing, I just feel like it's not going to work out, and he would be a guy that would come over and would instantly fall off. Like Alex mentioned, he would legit be Gallo. Like, and I don't think any of us would have fun with Bellinger whatsoever if he just plateaued offensively. So they should not target him at this point at the deadline. I do not want him to be a Yankee anymore.
No, and you know what? Let's take a look at a different position here that may warrant some improvement. You kind of referenced this earlier, Sam, with Carlos Rodon and Nestor Cortez coming back, and like big reinforcements, right? Big reinforcements. Herman, the perfect game. Mars, a couple of really bad performances. Don't forget that Herman's been wildly inconsistent this year. He gave up 10 runs the game before, I think 8 before that. So, or maybe even more. Maybe it was like 21 runs in those 2 games or whatever. But like, you know, the perfect game was awesome. It was incredible. But Herman, can he be trusted? I don't know. We're going to find out today if he can put together 2 consecutive good performances. And then, you know, Clark Schmidt, maybe he's a trade piece. You know, Nestor Cortez clearly fell off with that shoulder injury. Who knows if he comes back and performs the way we need him to, like he did in 2022. Same with Rodon. Like, you know, had some good rehab assignments. He was kicking the absolute shit out of guys in high A. You know what I mean? Like, we got to see him do it against major leaguers. This is his first action of the year. So if the Yankees end up needing another starting pitcher, like, is that something like you'd be willing to go with? Because like we've invested $162 million in Rodon. Are we done? Like, is it enough right now? Or do you think that this is a situation where there might be some rentals, some guys we could go out and acquire that may be like cheaper, that can help supplement maybe some concerns? Because I know, Ryan, you have a little bit of a concern about the starting rotation right now. Do you think it's something the Yankees should be maybe prioritizing right behind an offensive bat?
Yeah, so here's where I'm at with pitching. So I think that kind of over the course of the last few years, we've seen the Yankees try to build on paper super rotations, right? In 2020, it was Cole, Paxton, Severino, Tanaka, and one of Montgomery and Happ as the 5. And that was supposed to be best rotation in baseball, right? It was hyped up for that. And then that rotation sucked in 2020 and they got bombed the ALDS. And that's specifically why they lost in that postseason. 2021 and 2022, they got good production from their starters. They stayed mostly healthy enough. But in 2023, it feels like they've been able to stay afloat even despite all the injuries. And pitching, there's so much variance there. Guys get hurt left and right. All it takes is one poor pitch for you to go out and now you're hurt and now you're gone for the year. Now you need Tommy John. And you know, it feels like investing more on that side of the ball isn't really the best way to go about it. Really, you're looking at it from the standpoint of, all right, from July on forward, what can the Yankees control and what can the Yankees not control? The Yankees cannot control injuries. They cannot control if Carlos John's going to stay healthy from this point forward. They cannot, right? That's based on variance, luck. They got to pray to get the right outcomes. Same thing with Cortez. Same thing with Severino. Same thing with anyone in that pitching staff, anyone in that bullpen, whatever you want to say. They cannot control whether those guys will stay healthy or not. But you can have the outcome of those guys get healthy, those guys click, and now you have a good rotation again. You have a great bullpen. In the postseason, you have the luxury of shortening your pitching staff. You can shorten to 3 or 4 or even 3 guys in that rotation. You can shorten your bullpen to just your very best guys and only use the back end guys, in situations where you need mop up innings or whatever it may be. I feel like the Yankees can roll the dice with their pitching staff and say, let's just hope we get a good outcome here. With the offense, I feel like they can't do that. So I think pitching is something that's super prone to variance, to injuries, to random outcomes. I'm okay with them kind of rolling the dice there because it feels like it's just going to be super random anyways. And no one on the market necessarily stands out to me as a great starter. And because of that, that also means that it's a seller's market for pitching. I don't want to be the team that trades Will Warren for Jordan Montgomery. I don't want to be the team that trades, I don't want to be the team that's having to get like, hey, here, you have to offer Austin Wells to get like Lucas Giolito. Like, I'm not doing that, man. And I don't know if there's going to be a team who's going to be willing to get that aggressive, but you never know, right? Like Baltimore really needs starting pitching. How aggressive are they willing to go, right? There are teams that are having closing contention windows that may feel a lot more aggressive. I know that everyone has this idea that the Yankees contention window is closing. I think that a lot of the older guys on the team having expiring deals over the next 2 years makes it so that their farm is going to be able to come up and replenish that. And they're the Yankees. They can spend $1 million whenever they want. So it's not like their window closes in free agency either. So I just feel like there's a lot of variance to their pitching staff. I think that's a good and a bad thing. And I'm okay with just leaving it how it is with maybe a couple depth upgrades or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think the last thing that you want to do is be the White Sox trading Fernando Tatis for James Shields at this kind of deadline, like with those kind of swaps. So with the starting pitching, I just feel like, you know, you've missed Nestor Cortez for so long. You've gotten like a few starts from Luis Severino. We're not even really sure what Luis Severino is going to be this year. You've missed Carlos Rodon for the whole season, and you're still afloat. You're still 8 games above 500. The bullpen has saved this team like astronomically. And I feel like, you know, if Nestor can come back and is like decent enough, and then Rodon can come back and be the ace that we know that he could be, and maybe Severino gets a little better and Cole stays consistent, I feel like this team pitching wise is going to be golden. There's not going to be any issues whatsoever. It's got to simply hone in on the offense, because if they could score, you know, 4 to 5 runs a night, I feel confident that they can win every single baseball game that they're in, because I have confidence enough in the starting rotation and in the bullpen that they'll be okay. Like they will be able to squeeze out wins no matter what's going on with this team. So I just feel like this next month is really going to be telling for what you could do with your pitching staff, because really my assumption would be that Nestor would be, you know, here for this month, and then we're going to see Rodon, I guess, before the All-Star break, which would be cool. So over the next month, we're going to see really how this rotation could gel and realistically probably carry this team up to the trade deadline, because it doesn't seem like the offense is going to turn itself around like anytime soon. So I feel like the sample size that we're going to get over the next month is really going to like put the starting rotation trade thing to bed. And, you know, come August 30th or 31st, whatever, we're not really going to be talking about the Yankees adding starting pitching or even bullpen upgrades. We're going to be simply talking about bats no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, guys, I'd love to hear perspectives below. You know, this is definitely going to be an interesting one for the Yankees as the market kind of unfolds here. And we'll keep you guys updated on any names and potential trade acquisitions that this team can make to boost this roster and hopefully give us a chance to contend. And right now, honestly, it's not about who we can get. It's about who we have. It's about our guys getting better. It's about our guys producing, because if they don't produce, no one that we acquire is going to carry the load of the team underperforming. So that's the main catalyst, the primary variable in this team having any sort of success the rest of the way. But certainly getting reinforcements in Rodon, Cortez, and hopefully Aaron Judge in the next couple of weeks, if not months, is certainly a big thing. But always happy to hear perspectives below. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.